The Picts, the painted people as the Romans called them, lived in what we now know as northern and eastern Scotland. Their tribal society was complex and organized, centered around hillforts that served as defensive strongholds and political hubs. These fortresses were not just homes, they were symbols of power, where chieftains ruled over their kin. Life in these forts revolved around farming, hunting, and preparing for war. The Picts were formidable warriors, known for their painted or tattooed bodies, symbols that likely held spiritual significance and struck fear into their enemies. But their most enduring legacy comes from their carvings, standing stones inscribed with intricate, mysterious symbols. These stones depict animals, weapons, and geometric patterns. While their exact meanings remain a mystery, many historians believe they mark tribal territories, record victories, or honor the gods. The Picts' reputation for ferocity even intimidated the Roman Empire. Despite multiple attempts, the Romans failed to conquer the Pictish lands, eventually building Hadrian's Wall to keep them at bay. While the Picts dominated the north and east, a new people arrived from across the Irish Sea, the Scots. These Gaelic-speaking settlers established the Kingdom of Dalriada in western Scotland, bringing their own distinct culture and traditions. Dalriada's position allowed the Scots to maintain close ties with their Irish homeland, while expanding their influence on Scottish soil. Their society revolved around kinship, just like the Picts. But the Scots were unified under a single king, an advantage in times of conflict. The Scots' warrior culture was deeply tied to their spiritual beliefs. They revered gods like Lugh, the sun god, and Brigid, the goddess of poetry and fertility, drawing strength from their connection to nature and the divine. Conflict between the Scots and Picts was inevitable. Battles were small-scale but intense, with warriors employing guerrilla tactics, ambushes, and knowledge of the rugged terrain to gain the upper hand. Despite their clashes, these two groups shared much in common: common enemies, mutual respect, and a deep connection to the land. By the 9th century, these ties would lead to an unlikely union. Long before the rise of formal clans, tribal warfare shaped the culture and survival of ancient Scotland. Disputes over grazing land, fishing rights, and honor often escalated into raids and skirmishes. Raiding was a way of life, a means to gain resources and assert dominance. It wasn't just about survival, it was about prestige. A successful raid elevated a chieftain's status and ensured loyalty from their followers. Weapons were simple but effective. Warriors favored spears and shields, with axes and swords reserved for those of higher status. Their battle tactics relied on speed and surprise, often exploiting the Highlands' natural defenses. Life in these communities wasn't all about war. The people of ancient Scotland were skilled farmers, herding cattle and growing barley to sustain their tribes. Women played a vital role, managing households and contributing to the economy, though they, too, were trained to defend their homes if necessary. As Scotland transitioned into the medieval period, the tribal kinship systems of earlier times transformed into the iconic clan structure that would shape the Highlands for centuries. Clans weren't merely extended families. They were intricate networks of allegiance, power, and survival. At the heart of every clan stood its chief, a figure who wielded authority akin to a king within their domain, commanding loyalty, administering justice, and leading in both peace and war. In the absence of centralized government in the Highlands, clans assumed responsibility for governance. Justice was swift and often harsh, dictated by the customs of the time. Disputes over grazing land or resources could ignite fierce feuds, with cattle raids and skirmishes becoming a way of life. These conflicts, while destructive, also solidified clan bonds and the fierce loyalty that defined them. Clans expressed their identity through powerful symbols. The clan crest, an emblem adorned with a motto, was more than a decorative piece. It was a declaration of heritage and pride, a banner under which members rallied during war, and a mark of distinction in times of peace. Tartans, too, became woven expressions of belonging, with specific patterns signifying allegiance to a particular clan. Yet life in the clans wasn't solely defined by conflict and power struggles. Highland gatherings brought people together in celebration. These events were filled with the sounds of bagpipes, the rhythm of traditional dances, and the echoes of stories passed down through generations. Such gatherings forged unity, preserved traditions, and reminded clans of their shared heritage. Even today, these customs live on, connecting Scots around the world to their ancestral roots. Though the clan system as it once existed has faded, its spirit endures. In every tartan worn, crest displayed, and gathering held, the legacy of Scotland's clans continues to thrive, a testament to a culture built on resilience, kinship, and pride. Scotland's early history was written in the land itself, a place of breathtaking beauty, but also unforgiving harshness. These landscapes shaped the character of the people who called them home, instilling resilience and resourcefulness in equal measure. Early tribal warfare wasn't merely about domination. It was survival in its rawest form, the crucible in which Scotland's indomitable spirit was forged. Long before the clans, the Picts, Scots, Britons and Angles vied for control of Scotland's fragmented territories. These tribes carved their identities in blood and stone, defending their homelands from each other and from powerful invaders. Battles were fought over scarce resources, land, cattle, and even pride. Every victory and loss left a lasting imprint, shaping the social and political landscape of ancient Scotland. The Picts, fierce warriors of the north, earned their reputation as defenders of the Highlands. When the Roman Empire marched north, seeking to expand its dominance, it encountered fierce resistance. Though the Romans built Hadrian's Wall to mark the limits of their conquest, the Picts persisted, their resilience a testament to the unyielding spirit of Scotland's people. The tools of war were simple but effective. Spears, axes, and slings were wielded with skill born of necessity. Warfare was not just about strength. It required cunning, strategy, and an intimate knowledge of the land. Every hill and valley could become an advantage, or a fatal trap. These early conflicts shaped more than just territorial boundaries. They influenced the very structure of society. Leaders rose to prominence, not only as warriors, but also as protectors and negotiators. Bonds of kinship and loyalty were forged in the heat of battle, and those alliances laid the groundwork for the clan system that would later define Highland life. But it wasn't all conflict. War stories became legends, passed down through generations. These tales of bravery and sacrifice were retold around fires, not only to honor the fallen, but to instill a sense of unity and identity within the community. They became the threads that wove Scotland's tapestry of culture and tradition. Yet, the story of Scotland's early warfare was far from over. Just as the tribes began to solidify their territories, a new threat loomed. The arrival of the Vikings would change the very fabric of Scottish society. Fierce and determined, these seafaring warriors would test the mettle of Scotland's people like never before. In our next episode, we'll uncover the impact of the Viking invasions, their bloody raids, cultural influences, and the alliances forged in response to this relentless threat. Join us as we explore how these Norse invaders reshaped the destiny of Scotland and its warrior culture.